wanted to know, if there's anyone who was here from out of town and wanted to have dinner with other people from the group, we could organize that at a local restaurant. Is there anyone here who wanted to have dinner with other people from the group? All right, okay, so don't have to worry about that. So we'll end at 5 today, and then we'll see you back here tomorrow. Just so you know, the schedule tomorrow, we do have a cocktail party dinner tomorrow night after the conference, sponsored by AOL from 6:30 to 8 in the beautiful poolside here. So please plan to stay here all day. We do provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as breakfast and lunch on the following day. If you have any questions, there'll be someone sitting right outside, my assistant named Susan, and hopefully everything will go smoothly. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Come on. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric German. I'm a partner in the Intellectual Property and Technology Practice Group at Mitchell, Silberberg, and Knapp here in Los Angeles. Today, we're here to talk about user-generated content and social networking sites. And I really hope that we live up to the title and that we really have sort of some user-generated content as we go back and forth here today. Let's make this interactive. It's somewhat of a big room, but I'd like to really engage you guys and have you guys really participate in this conversation rather than me just talking at you for an hour. The MSK IP and Technology Practice Group is been around for about a decade now. The firm's been around for 100 years. We've specialized and we've really been the go-to place for content owners in analyzing new technologies for a while. Our firm handled the litigation against Napster, Aimster, Grokster, on behalf of the Recording Industry Association of America, and designed the end-user enforcement programs for that organization. We also handled suits against, for example, 321 Studios for the Motion Picture Association of America. Presently are engaged in a suit on behalf of our client Perfect 10 against Google and Amazon. So those are just some examples of some of the technology issues that our firm has been presented with. And that is a nice segue to what we're here to talk about. The user-generated content, as you all know, and social networking sites over the past year have been the buzz issues for content owners looking to analyze how to exploit their content on the internet and also how to protect their content on the internet. So I have been approached, of course, in our firm, like every other issue, by several clients interested in understanding the legal issues. First, the legality of the technology, and then second, how to protect their content from infringements by end users. So clients have been interested for some time now, become increasingly more interested as we deal with the media hype and the investment dollars being pumped into this sector in issues like the duty to filter, secondary liability potential for user-posted content, the DMCA safe harbor and 512C, and issues such as that. There are also, of course, clients interested in legal issues regarding the individual infringement, such as DMCA takedown notices and how to best protect content from being posted by users in unauthorized fashion. So far, no one's really pushed the issue of suits against end users of these things too far. There certainly have been some noises being made, and there's some discussion there. But I come at these issues also from another couple of other perspectives. First, our firm has been involved on the business side of this. We represent AskANinja.com, and also I'll introduce my colleague in a moment, Greg Goodfried, who's one of the producers of Lonely Girl 15. I thought I'd bring him as a special guest star. Greg's a friend and a former MSK associate in the IP and Technology Practice Group, who, together with his two partners, created the Lonely Girl 15 phenomena. And Greg has gone from friend and colleague to friend and client, and he's agreed. He's fresh off the plane from Austin, Texas, in the South by Southwest Interactive Conference, where, as I understand it, packed house, and they engaged in an interesting experiment that Greg will tell you about today as well. Finally, I come at this from another perspective, which is, of course, personal use of the internet. Like all of you, I have friends, family, colleagues. I have clients that use these services and these technologies to try to maximize exposure for their content. But I've had everything from a friend who was surprised with a singing telegram, and friends of mine taped it and put it up on YouTube, to just general things that I'm interested in that I like to consult and view for entertainment purposes on these services. So we can talk about these issues. If you look at the way the program was described today, it's very broad. There's a lot to say. An hour seems like a long time, but it will go quickly, I trust. And I want to tailor this program less of a lecture and more of a workshop as it was built. So I'd like to get some kind of a sense here by show of hands as we get started. Who here is a technologist, and who here is coming at this from the perspective of offering technologies to users? Maybe half of you guys. Is anyone here a content provider that's interested in the idea of either protecting or monetizing existing content? Like, I'm thinking traditional media companies. The other half. Is anyone here a content creator that's really getting started and looking for outlets for their content? So, okay, so we come at this from all across the board, and I'd like to talk to about each one of these areas and where we see the space going. I guess it's a good time for Greg to introduce himself. Just tell, for anyone who doesn't know and who's been living under a rock, a little bit about Lonely Girl 15.
Sure. So thanks for having me. By show of hands, are people out there familiar with Lonely Girl 15? Yes. Okay, more or less. Okay, cool. So I'll just take a minute, kind of tell you what the initial concept was, how we executed, and kind of where we are today. So initially, my partner, his name's Miles Beckett. He was actually a doctor. He was in a plastic surgery residency, but big kind of technology guy, big into entertainment, and saw the whole Web 1.0 kind of passed him by when he was in medical school. And when he saw the emergence of video podcasting and just kind of, internet video starting to establish itself in November 2005, I guess, around the time of launching of YouTube, he decided that this is something relevant that's going to, be a real media property going forward. And so he dropped out of his residency, started a company doing comedy video podcasts, and that's how I met him. I did some of the legal work when I was at Mitchell for it. And then in February of this year, he was watching YouTube a lot and seeing that the only two things on YouTube, as I'm sure a lot of you people know, were really infringing material, the Daily Show, Saturday Night Live clips, or this community of young people out there who were calling themselves video bloggers. And there were people that were just turning on the camera each day and talking to the camera, lip syncing, talking about what they did for school, at school, what they ate for lunch, anything they wanted to. And it was kind of compelling. It's kind of a voyeuristic, interesting outlet where you're looking right in someone's eyes and they're kind of talking directly to you and pouring your heart out, but exposing themselves to the whole world. That's kind of cool. The flip side is it's generally boring, and there's no consistency because it's just some kid out there talking about their life. So the idea was, what if you could kind of create a fictional video blogger who would get out on camera each day, talk about their lives, but it's an actress, and it would be professionally scripted, and because of that, because you can control it all, you can make an entire plot point, and every day, 2 minutes at a time, you get another little bit of plot, and it would kind of string out to be an entire serialized story. So that was basically the concept, and he brought a third partner, Mesh, together, and we all created what became Lonely Girl 15, which is a 16-year-old homeschooled teenager who sat in her room and would turn her camera on each day and just talk about her life. And she was cute, and we had some cool editing techniques to make the individual videos compelling. But after 2 or 3 weeks, people started kind of getting a hint that there was something greater here. And she would talk about that her parents wouldn't really ever let her leave the house. They had crazy religious beliefs, and because of that, she had a purity bond, and she had all these kind of odd things that most 16-year-olds don't have. And that traction in the community, people became interested by it, and then simultaneously, because of the power of the internet, anyone in the world can do this. Anyone can make a video and upload it to the internet, and she could have been real. The technology is there. Any of you guys can start blogging about yourselves. So there became this whole wave of, is this girl real or is she not real? And that took us from June until September, and at that point our videos were getting 200,000-300,000 views per video. Kind of, we were doing 3 or 4 videos a day. And then in September, it made the press announcement that this is actually a fictional show. This is an actress, and this is what we're doing. And based on that press, we were able to get a humongous new surge of audience. So now Lonely Girl 15 is more of a show in the vein of like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or a, combined with Dawson's Creek and the X-Files, where you have these professionally produced videos that we make, and then that's kind of the highest level. You can just sit and watch a 2-minute video 5 times a week, get a full story, you know, with this kind of mystery and intrigue. Then the second that we do is it's incredibly interactive. So from day one, we treated all our characters as if they were real people. So the characters, the concept is they shoot the videos themselves, edit them, and upload them to the internet, and you can talk directly to them. You can send them emails, you can make video responses, you can do whatever you want, and our characters respond back in character. And we almost shoot in real time. So this whole kind of community developed around our story to have this interactive experience. And then the final component is we also allow a lot of user-generated content to be integrated into our story. People out there through our website or YouTube can make themselves characters. There's people who are Bree's brother, Bree's father, evil people in the Order, and they kind of do like this fan fiction, Star Wars fan fiction type thing where they tell their story and they bounce it off of what we're doing. And so today we're still producing the show. We get about, over the course of a week, we get 1.5 to 2 million views across our 5 videos that we upload. We have 30,000 people a day come to just our website, probably another few 100,000 that watch on YouTube, and kind of where we are now with Lonely Girl.
Well, Greg, tell the audience what you did in Austin. I found that pretty interesting.
So we just were up there doing South by Southwest, and we did a panel called Lonely Girl 15 at Case, and to kind of illustrate to the community out there the intensity of our fans. So every day we will upload, every day or every other day, we upload a video to our website, and it's totally random. No one has a clue when we're going to do it. The concept is it's whenever the kids would do it. Whenever the kids would take the camera, film doing some event, edit it, and upload it. So we did a real-time uploading of a video in the middle of our panel. So we were, speaking, doing our stuff, and then we just turned the computer on and clicked upload, and the video went live on the website. And there's really no notification for the fans that a new video's gone up. You just have to be on our website, and within 10 seconds of putting the video up, we already had 10 comments from people saying like, first, new video, whatever it is that they want to say. And then we would refresh over the next 15 minutes, and by the end of the panel, there was like 56 comments, and the people had already seen in that small period of time because they live on our website. They spend 8 hours a day there every day. It's kind of madness.
Well, there's so much to talk about in this space, and that in the time we have today, it's going to be difficult to cover everything. But one thing I know we're all interested in is money. Where is the money? And where is the money today, and where is it going to come from in the future? Again, I think between the two of us, we've seen it from a lot of different angles. Again, traditional media companies trying to monetize, and I think that's what makes Greg's situation so interesting, because I think he started as an unknown content producer and became then a content producer using user-generated content as another component of the sort of more traditional media company that you've become. But I think that today you're seeing a lot of sort of a war between the idea of something like what Juiced is doing. I'm assuming a certain level of sophistication in this audience. If people don't understand or want to talk about what certain technologies are, please raise your hand and ask. But what the concept behind Juiced, where it's going to be licensed, uploaded content versus something like YouTube that's user-generated, or that has at least a user-generated component, leads me to the idea of starting to think about what does user-generated content really mean? And I'd like to ask Greg, do you think the idea of monetizing user-generated content is a realistic concept?
I think it's really hard. I mean, obviously from the threshold of, say, YouTube, a kid taking a clip of The Daily Show and uploading it to YouTube is not user-generated content, but it gets kind of lumped into that whole world of this is all, everything you're finding here is, UGC. So you obviously have that initial threshold of really what is kind of at the baseline of user-generated content. If you kind of get past that and acknowledge that that's totally professional content, and UGC is really some kid out there taking a camera and filming themselves, and they can get as elaborate as they want, and they can kind of make a whole, try to make a little mini feature with their friends, all the way down to somebody video blogging, and that's all UGC. Then you kind of meet these ancillary problems, which is, well, what type of music are they using in their videos, and what type of posters are they hanging in the backgrounds? And there's a reason why Hollywood and the TV networks have gigantic clearing groups or whatever they are that go and watch each piece of content and make sure it's all clean, because if it's not, you're going to run into huge problems. So that kind of threshold level of just saying, I'm going to start a site like YouTube or live video or whatever, let anyone upload whatever they want, try to monetize it, to me seems like a pretty daunting task. I don't know how they are going to navigate all those problems unless they just are able to make amazing, massive deals across the board with content owners. So I guess the converse to that is more our model, which our model, you take a professionally produced piece of content. You take our show, Lonely Girl 15, and we ensure that every single video we have is, all the music we get is licensed. There's no obscenity, there's no infringing material hanging in the room. It's like you would do with a TV show. And you take that and you put that out there to the community, and that basically gives people 2 minutes of entertainment a day. And then you invite the rest of the community to come in and produce their own, UGC that kind of bounces off ours. And you set up rules for them. And you basically say to them, if you make a video and it's going to get approved and uploaded to our site, you're not going to use infringing music. You're not going to have posters hanging in the background. You create habits for the users so that they understand what to do to not break the law, but at the same time get to participate. And so that's kind of what we do now. Every video we post on our website, there'll be an average of about 10 user response videos, anything ranging from a kid who just likes to turn his camera on and say, hey, the lighting in your video sucked and your plot is boring, to somebody, there's a good 5 to 6 that every single day are making a new video in a crazy narrative story that they're telling that lives in the fictional universe we've created of good versus evil and teenage angst and all these kind of issues we have. So you can't, and we're able to kind of monetize those through traditional ways you'd monetize websites of banner ads, and we're trying to get advertisers to come on and sponsor. Maybe an advertiser like a Logitech who actually makes the equipment a lot of these kids use will want to sponsor our video upload section. So that's a way for us as content to monetize off the user-generated stuff. The other thing we're doing is, do you guys know who Rever is? Rever.com.
Give them just a.
Rever is another video, uploading website that they actually, so you can go to Rever, you can watch a lot of videos, you can upload your own video, but they made the conscious decision about February or March of this last year that they are not going to allow any infringing content on their site. So they have a screening process where every time a video gets uploaded, somebody watches that video, and if it has any infringing stuff, it gets flagged and it doesn't go into the system. And the reason they did that is because they put a post-roll advertisement on every single video uploaded into their service, and then the user who uploads that video makes money. And so there's a whole CPM rate, and the user and Rever split the profits 50-50. And so we use Rever as our kind of technology solution. So all the videos on our site that either we upload or that the fans upload are distributed through Rever. There's a post-roll advertisement on our videos. There's an advertisement on the fan videos. They're all clean of any infringing material. And the fans get to make money off of their videos, and we actually get to make money off of their videos as well by being the kind of syndicator. So we're making money directly off, our fans are making money off of their hard work. We're making money off of providing them a platform and traffic to come and tell their story. And then, Rever as our partner is making money off the technology.
Well, and I'd like to talk about this from two different perspectives, of course. The perspective of the technologist or the site proprietor, who is serving as the platform for aggregating the content. How do they make money off user-generated content? And then second, of course, what Greg's talking about is how do the users themselves or the producers of the actual content monetize that. I was given something fairly interesting, dated March 7. I'm not sure if this is very public, but this is from something called lightreading.com. It's a of sort of who pays what in the space. And I find it very interesting because, as you can see, people, like is always the case with the internet, are trying very hard to distinguish themselves and come up with lots of different models on how you monetize this content and how you can sort of lead content producers to post at your site rather than somewhere else. And if I just read to you a few of these sort of ideas on how these things pay, you see that it's really all over the map. Let me just pull a couple. This is a place called addictingclips.com. Each month, based on its own, quote, mysterious whims, and I'm reading from the chart, and viewer rankings, the site's big cheeses pick a group of clips to run on indie film site Atom Films. The creators of the selected clips get $500. Okay. Blip.tv. You choose where ads appear in your video, pre-roll, post-roll, banners, etc., as you opt in to Blip.tv's advertising program. More advanced users can even choose which one of the several advertising companies they want serving ads for them. Whatever the ad placement and the ad mix, Blip's bottom line is that it splits all advertising revenue generated from user content 50-50 with the users. If you do really well, the company will even represent you to media buyers and upon securing a sponsorship deal. Something like Dovetail.tv. Under its newly announced bonus, independent filmmakers are directly compensated for every audience member they attract, receiving 10 cents cash for each download of a contributed work. They go on and on. There are so many different ways of coming at this. MetaCafe pays $5 per 1,000 page views, but you have to hit 20,000 page views to qualify. I believe you also have to maintain a certain level of user rating at MetaCafe in order to get paid. There are lots of different concepts. Rever, which Greg mentioned, the site will split ad revenue with you 50-50 based on how many page views your video generates. However, viewers must click on post-roll ads at the end of your video in order for the page view to count towards revenue. So there are a few different ideas. There are several different ways to look at paying the consumer and attracting good content to your site. Greg, I imagine in your travels since the Lonely Girl phenomenon broke, you've explored a lot of these different options. And what do you have a view from your perspective of, are you just looking at bottom line, where am I going to get the most money, and how did you go about thinking about how that was going to happen?
You know, we're lucky because we're not, you know, we never were kind of user-generated content. We were basically professionally produced content, and we have, you know, an audience now. So just somebody who's going to go kind of make a partnership with someone and say, oh great, I can get, you know, 50 cents off my videos. We try to demand a little more. So the whole concept of monetizing through someone else's website, through them sharing their banner ad revenue, through a post-roll revenue, you know, all those types of formats that's kind of open to anyone. It's not that appealing to me because the money is tiny. I mean, I can tell you off Rever, we definitely do not make enough to sustain our production budget. I mean, our budget is, you know, we have 10 employees now, so we probably spend 40 grand a month on production, which doesn't sound, you know, it's obviously a drop in the bucket compared to a TV show, but for us, when there's really no market out there or infrastructure for monetizing, it's, you know, definitely expensive enough to be annoying. So for us, you know, the monetization model is really getting our videos, you know, on YouTube, our videos average about 400,000 views per video. On our website, they average about 20-something thousand because Rever has a better accounting system. We want to kind of syndicate various other websites, and then really the model is going to be brand integration. We're going to go out and, because of kind of the nature of our show that we treat these characters as they're real people, they use real products every day. They drive cars, they use cell phones, they drink Starbucks coffee. So we will go out and we will make deals for kind of product integration, you know, either one-off, you know, there's going to be an episode a week from now where our characters are going to interact with a pack of gum, and we're being paid for that. But again, the cool thing is it's not like we're really selling out because we actually wanted to have a video where our characters do some little funny thing with a pack of gum, so it's nice for someone to say, well, I'll be that pack of gum and compensate us. So the brand integration, like I'm sure a lot of TV people are seeing with, you know, TiVo and DVRs and whatnot, is a major component of how we monetize. Mobile, you know, mobile platform, that's kind of our second stage, which is getting, you know, a partnership with a carrier, having videos and ringtones and wallpaper and, you know, interactive text and chat and stuff like that. And then, you know, the third thing for us is, again, using the syndication model where if we're on 20 different websites, if we're on Juiced and Vio and YouTube and Rever, and all of them have at least some model in place to monetize, then that's, you know, a little bit that will trickle in across the board. And then we'll take all of that syndication model and drive everyone back to our website by branding our videos lg15.com, or the profile page on this website will have link outs where we'll put a post roll saying go to our website, create this huge audience, take them all back to our website, and then you monetize the website like any other website with more advertising, premium accounts, any type of stuff like that.
Now, do you see this as all about advertising? Is that really the only legitimate revenue generation model? And, you know, I like to say to people, for the shock value as much as anything else, that I love advertising. I love, as a consumer, I love advertising, but I only love relevant advertising. I want to be advertised too. I'm a big rock music fan. When I'm flipping through Revolver magazine, I'm looking at each page because I want new records that are coming out. I want to see that stuff because it's targeted to me as a fan. Is there something unique about this space that is more susceptible to product placement, that's more susceptible to advertising, number one? And number two, do you think that there is another way in terms of selling this stuff as downloads or spin-off into physical media or anything like that that is realistic from your perspective?
There's a few other possibilities, and we want a 15 feature. Again, mobile phones, because mobile phones kind of have defined technology. People are willing to pay certain fees, certain monthly fees, to be able to have text, to be able to have certain access to private videos or whatever. We also have kind of a rabid enough fan base, like a Star Wars, Star Trek type fan base, that we can charge them kind of a premium account model where they can pay $4.99 a month and get an @LonelyGirl15 email address and get access to do kind of certain things, go to events, stuff like that. So all of those kind of value added features to the show, you can charge for. But the core show, the core watch a Lonely Girl 15 video each day, I don't think you can charge for it. A, I don't want to. I don't want to charge our fans for it. B, they're never going to pay for it, because the second I charge one of them, that person's just going to rip it and they're going to put it everywhere. And if you willingly take your content into the digital format, you're going to lose a lot of control over it. So you better find a way that you can kind of monetize as it gets everywhere. And again, that's why brand integration. Because if I go to Starbucks and I say, have us use Starbucks in a video, and that video gets seen on 25 different sites by 8 million people, they're thrilled. They don't care. They don't care that there's no post roll associated with it. It's cool. It goes everywhere.
Well, one of the things you mentioned was kind of letting go of a copyright. You didn't say it in so many terms, but in the description of today's workshop, one of the points we said we would discuss are ROI, return on investment. What is, I sort of think depends, because you can come at this issue from so many different ways, what exactly is that investment? And from a traditional media company perspective, let's say a network, producer of network television, what the investment sometimes can be literally not enforcing your copyright, or allowing users to sort of get your hands in, crunch it up, mix it up, mash it up, and participate. And so sometimes when thinking about because it really doesn't cost anything to post anything on YouTube. What it costs is the opportunity cost of letting it out there. And of course YouTube is streaming, but some other sites and other, people have told me examples. Disney Channel website had something to do with the High School Musical phenomena, where you could remix the top two, and they would post the top remixes on there. There's lots of different examples of sort of allowing consumers to engage, and the return on that is yet to be determined, but the investment is letting go of a little bit of control. One of the other things I wanted to ask you if you could comment on is what's going on with the Ask a Ninja people. You could just kind of explain that.
Yeah, so Ask a Ninjas, they're actually friends of ours. They were one of the kind of original video podcasters, so they don't do, they started putting YouTube in their website and through Rever, but what their kind of initial core focus was when the video iPod came out, people started watching iTunes for free podcasting content. They were one of the first to the space. And it's basically a guy who dresses up in a ninja outfit they do it in their apartment with a red screen behind them, and he just tells jokes basically, or people submit questions and he answers their questions. It's the target demographic is probably males 12 to 18, and it's perfect for them because nobody here would probably think it's very funny. They got a deal by this company, Federated Media, and Federated Media is basically an ad sales unit. They represent Boing Boing, I think they represent Dig, and a few other major publishers out there. So they made a deal with Ask a Ninja where they paid them $300,000 for a year's worth of exclusivity over advertising across the board. So post rolls on their videos, advertising on their website, and then any type of brand integration into the Ask a Ninja videos. Federated Media just controls it, and the first $300,000, I guess that's going to be incoming from advertising, they recoup, and then after that I think there's some type of deal between Ask a Ninja and Federated for the remainder. So these guys got, two guys in an apartment with, basically a camera, definitely not as fancy as that one, got $300,000 cash. And so there's, to a lot of the media conglomerates, and probably a lot of you in here, that is nothing. But certainly to those two guys, to our little team, that's real money that allows you to keep going forward. And I think as the stake in internet video kind of starts growing, the community grows, the CPMs will grow, the money will grow. But it was a pretty nice deal for those guys.
All right, now I want to talk a little bit about looking at this from the other perspective, from the perspective of the aggregator and the provider of the technology. Sort of the big question is to allow user-generated content or not on some level? Do you allow users to upload content, and what level of filtering and monitoring and control do you apply to that? I was reading something in the LA Times this weekend about entertainment destinations, cruise ships and hotels that are employing areas for teens, and somebody said something I thought was very interesting. You need, when you're dealing with teens, you need to feel like there is autonomy and there's no supervision, but yet you need to still maintain control. And I think that's an excellent analogy for looking at these content aggregations. You have to have the illusion of freedom or some degree of freedom, but yet some measure of control under the law. And as people may or may not know, there are some suits that have been filed against these types of things. In the social networking space, there's a suit against MySpace. There is, in the YouTube was sued by a gentleman's last name is Tur, who is the proprietor of the original Denny video. There is a series of suits in California brought by IO Group / Titan Media, which is an adult video provider, against VO. And something called PornTube and XTube. These suits are coming, they're out there, and the question is, what value is there to content aggregators in allowing unfiltered content on their site? On the one hand, when you're looking at sort of the idea, what brings people, where is the money, and what brings people to sites? You know, you've got like Greg mentioned, the Saturday Night Live clips of The Daily Show or something from South Park, which are sort of the moment, yet you know, real entertainment value. Is that what's bringing people, or is the kid in a room with a broom singing to the latest hits? Is that drawing an audience? What do you think?
You know, I think YouTube kind of became YouTube because they became the place to go to see the current event that you today. You know, whether it was the Zidane headbutt at the World Cup, or whether it was that really great, you know, Jon Stewart line. It was that place you can get to the office in the morning and say to people, hey, did you see that thing? And if they said no, that person's going to run to YouTube and check it out. So that kind of initial, you know, initial content is really what drives, I think, the traffic there. And then, you know, and then once people get to YouTube, then you kind of, you know, bring the long tail model in, which is, okay, you're there, you're at the site, and now there's 100 million videos that have been uploaded to the site. So it gives people the incentive for an hour and a half and go, you know, binge on YouTube. So I think that's the benefit of letting people use the infringing content to put it there. You're going to drive people, but again, they got to figure out how to monetize it.
Do you think something like Juiced, where the idea wouldn't that pretty much eliminate the kid in the bedroom and it's only professional video, and how is that going to take away from YouTube in your mind?
You know, yeah, I think Juiced doesn't want to compete with YouTube. They want to compete with television, and so that's kind of a pretty clear distinction. And all the power to them, because I think that my opinion, you know, the whole Time magazine article where they, you know, the person of the year is you, I don't really buy it. I personally don't really buy user-generated content as a kind of sustaining model, because it's pretty boring. I don't know how many of you guys out there have really spent a couple hours on YouTube watching user-generated content. It's boring. You know, watching a dog run in a circle, it's okay, but it's not funny after a long time. And just like a TV, there's, you know, are there on TV, only one of them is America's Funniest Home Videos. If every channel was America's Funniest Home Videos, yeah, again, it would be boring. So the Juiced model is taking what I think is a very cool, you know, invention, new thing, which is this concept of internet video, watching, you know, video in the office, you know, on your computer, at home, wherever, on mobile devices. That's a fantastic invention, and that's something that is here to stay. The next level is then content becomes king. You got to have good things for people to sit and watch. Juiced model is partner with people that have a track record of creating really cool, compelling content. I'm going to give great technology to our users to be able to search and watch that content, and I think that's a really nice mix. And again, the real value of user-generated content to me is kind of two things. It's one, letting that core rabid fan base who wants to go and make themselves characters and play with your content, it's giving them that freedom to do so. So I don't even know today where my kind of derivative rights on Lonely Girl stand, because when a kid goes and makes a video Lonely Girl's brother, and I let him go do it, and he's green screen himself into her bedroom, and he uploads it to my site, I'm sure I'm giving away something, and I'm definitely not going to go sue that kid. So that's just kind of a fact. I hope that by doing that, it makes him more engaged in the show, it makes more people engaged to come to the show, and then the other real benefit of user-generated content is So I only put 2 minutes of content a day on my site, but I have people sitting there for 8 hours. You know, why are they doing that? Because they're watching all these other people's videos, because I give them a forum to go talk in, I give them a chat room. There's kind of a wiki-style encyclopedia that we have that the fans completely control and edit, and so they can talk about all the things about Lonely Girl 15, the characters, the plot, whatever. So all that is UGC, and all that is content kind of rounded out by our fans, but it's all controlled and it's tailored to our professional content.
You mentioned that how Juiced you thought was competing with television where YouTube wasn't. I find that really interesting. I just want to underline and emphasize that for a moment. I think that thing worth thinking about for everyone out here is to what extent are you competing with television, or are you something different? Is this a pure passive entertainment experience where you just have more options than you would normally have on television, or are you something more than that? I also wanted to touch real quick, and the time is getting away from us as I predicted, and I promised a little measure of interactivity, so I want to get you guys involved. But the social networking sites, you know, where does that stand? Obviously, MySpace has been a sensation, driven by music. Clearly, what's happening out there now are two things. Number one, people are trying to find more and more niche-like MySpace-type experiences. Things dedicated to individual lifestyles and things that people would have in common interest. And then second, there's this whole concept of like the Second Life type thing. And you know, Greg, what are you hearing about where that space is going?
You know, I guess my feeling is social networking is probably turning into more of a tool than like a portal. So you see like Barack Obama, he has Barack Obama 2008 website. And there is a full social networking component to it. You go and you sign up and you get a profile page and you upload photos and you can blog and you can put your favorite song on it. And you know, that's basically every website out there right now that's kind of starting that, you know, is in the whole Web 2.0 vein, says I have to have community features to it. I have to have social networking. So what I think social networking is, it's a really cool tool to connect people, to allow them to interact, to share information and ideas. But you kind of have to theme it around something. And so my kind of problem with MySpace and Facebook is it's just so massive and there's so much going on that it's kind of cool when you start getting into these niche things. And again, Lonely Girl 15 is kind of what I'm consumed with. So but we view our show as a social network built around an entertainment property. Our fans, they have profile pages and they have pictures, and we kind of say our motto is every fan is a character. So their profile pages look exactly like our character, Bree and Daniel and Jonas's profile pages, and you can upload videos to your page. You can kind of pretend that you can assume this whole new identity on your profile page, and you can connect to other people through it, sending private messages, doing whatever you want to do. So social networking is an awesome tool that's here to stay. Not so sure about these kind of behemoth websites, how they're going to fare over time.
And let me just counter that with this concept, or at least this thought, that Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, describes connectors. I don't know if anyone else here has ever read that book, but the extent to which there's value in connectivity often arises from being able to connect different groups. And so maybe niches within some overarching, you know, utility that allows people to connect together is really the ultimate space where that's going. Next idea would be, you know, what's it going to look like? And MySpace is pretty flat and pretty boring, and you know, maybe we're headed into a new kind of graphical interactivity, that kind of thing. Again, I'm speeding all this up because of the time. I would like to get you guys involved. Let's just say, are there questions out there? I want to talk about, in the time we have left, what you guys want to talk about, because again, this is just such a massive topic, an hour won't do. What, up in the back? I don't know, do we have a microphone or anything that can make this?
Just gonna have to speak up.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, why would you relegate yourself to Rever if you have something like Blip TV out there, or any of the others that, like, why not add yourself to several networks where you could also be monetizing?
Absolutely.
And
so
can you repeat the question?
The question was, why am I using Rever when there's 20 other sites out there that kind of, is that basically the exclusively? We're not Rever exclusively. That's the answer. The answer is we're 100% non-exclusive. We currently put our videos on YouTube and Rever. The reason why they're not on Google and Yahoo and MySpace and Live Video is time. Is because there's me and 2 of my friends who do this, and it takes 45 minutes to an hour and a half to upload a video, 5 a week, in addition to filming everything else we do. So it's time, but we're completely non-exclusive with Rever. The thing we have with Rever right now is they are the video player that is on our website, lg15.com. Is kind of and in terms of for us, going in the future, kind of when you have some exclusivity to offer, you can get more money. So our kind of goal is to have a partner who becomes the exclusive video player on lg15.com and is willing to pay kind of a premium for that, but then at the same time put our videos every other site in the world, especially sites that we can monetize, use all that kind of syndication then to drive the traffic back to our website.
Over there.
I was wondering how familiar are you with the model? There's a specific question. You're familiar with what they do and what they're doing. Either one.
I am.
The question is, it would seem that moving television to the internet is an interesting idea. Viacom is trying it, but when you go and you talk to all the other major networks and cable operators, their concern, of course, is diluting their affiliate advertising revenue, which is huge. When you talk to any of the major networks, it's in the billions, 2-3 billion a year in each network. They're afraid that by moving television to the internet and making it ubiquitous, then they're going to drop those ad revenues are going to drop through the floor when KXYZ in Minneapolis, now instead of paying big dollars for Everybody Loves Raymond, now Everybody Loves Raymond is on the internet. So how do you see Juiced succeeding and Viacom, Paramount, complacing their affiliate networks? Basically, it kind of starts to break the syndication.
Right. If everyone could hear, the question is really, how does this really cannibalize existing ad revenues, things like Juiced and putting television on the internet? I think what it comes down to is the $50 million question is this adding new additional revenue streams that exist above and beyond? In other words, what the degree to which are you taking away television audience by putting this stuff on the internet? And I guess one answer to that, which maybe is a flip answer, but it's already there. This stuff is already on the internet. You might as well be putting it in a format that is safe, that it's easy for customers to use, that they feel comfortable with, and gaining some of that revenue back is one answer. I don't think anyone here is going to tell you that they know exactly to what extent that is going to impact on what's happening with the traditional media models. It's certainly got to be a concern. Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of my thoughts are twofold. One is that there's still going to be two tremendously kind of divergent markets right now. There's going to be people who go to Juiced or just watch their content on the internet, and there's going to be people who are watching on TV. So I think short term, you're probably not going to have a lot of cannibalization. The long-term answer is I think that there is this massive convergence between the internet television, and I don't know if once people really start hooking their plasmas through their Ethernet connection or whatever wireless we're going to have, that you're going to be able to distinguish what's going on, whether you're on TV or you're on the internet. So maybe their thought is, I better kind of position myself first to be in a model that, like Eric is saying, is closed, is safe, and there's actually, Juice has a pretty cool kind of advertising model built into it with the layover graphics, or there's graphics in the corner, and I guess they're willing to kind of start now to kind of experiment to see that when this full convergence does happen, what model they're going to have, because
nobody really knows what Viacom is going to give them, but that it might become, that Juice becomes like a third, fourth, fifth run venue. So it takes its place in the landscape with, let's say, after premium, after home video, after, all the way down the food chain, rather than starting with something that is, first run. Or
so delaying the content, like content windows. That's
what they're talking about. The idea here is
absolutely.
that maybe this becomes a new window on a different sort of time schedule from other content, and that may be the solution. But another thing I want to throw out there is just take a look at the experience of the music business and the record industry, and look at the idea that you can say that downloading and these things were eating into the revenue streams of the record companies, but did that mean that they shouldn't start selling downloads on iTunes, in fact?
I think they've lost 40%,
There are smarter economists than I that can deal with these issues. But they are absolutely issues, and we're going to have to see how they play out over the next couple of years. Anyone else? In the back.
creating digital content, and the internet's great, but what about, what's been your effort, or what do you believe will happen going forward with set-top boxes and the two-way networks that the Verizon, Fios of the world? I mean, you see your content getting on those boxes. Is it going to be easy for you to get deals down there?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to them, as we speak, and I think that, so I guess there's kind of two parts to that. One is our content is actually really uniquely tailored, though, to the internet and to that experience and to the mobile experience, and that's why we're successful. I mean, when there's been a lot of people before us trying to make webisodes, and there's a lot of people currently trying to do it, and what they basically doing are repurposing a lot of their traditional TV content for these other mediums. And even MySpace or Fox puts 24 on MySpace the day after it airs. I don't know a lot of people want to sit and watch 44 minutes of content on their computer, and it's third person and things are blowing up and like my screen is this big. So, from one part of it, our content is really great for the internet and really tailored. I don't know how much it's going to play on TV, but on the flip side of it, if we can have access to TV, I'm certainly willing to try and see if that people are willing to embrace it in that format.
And let me ask you, this was another thing to cover. To what extent is there something fundamentally different about what you're doing versus what's happening on network television? And without divulging your trade secrets, how have you been able to sort of create content for this particular medium that takes advantage of the strengths of the internet as opposed to network television?
Yeah, I mean, the one word that certainly sums up what we do is interaction. It's 100% our show model, and we achieve that in a number of ways. One way we achieve it is we actually shoot first-person point of view. So we have our characters are holding the camera in every single video, whether it's a webcam or whether it is, their little Panasonic 3CCD camera. They're holding it. They're actually basically, the way we shoot it is like Eric will be the cameraman filming them, and me as the actor will just put my hand there. But for the artistic conceit, they're holding it. So because of that, when you're watching them, it is literally like they are talking directly to you, and it makes it so much easier for the fan out there to then talk back directly to them. And if we didn't have fans talking back to our characters, our show would come to a screeching halt, because it's everything we do. When we write the stories, when we think about it, it's all about how are the fans going to relate back to our characters. So that's interaction. Number one is how we shoot it. Number two is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term ARG, but ARG is it's called alternate reality game, and it's basically this new kind of entertainment format out there that is basically a series of puzzles that a community has to get together and solve these puzzles. And as you solve each puzzle, it kind of unlocks another plot point in a narrative. So it'll be like, you'll go to some random blog website and they'll say, on March 16th, 2007, Professor John Smith, UCLA poli-sci professor, disappeared. And then you'll kind of read, and something will kind of look odd about it, and you'll click and it'll take you to another website, and there might be some cryptic, symbols and numbers, and 10,000 people get together and figure out what that puzzle is, and that'll take you to a Craigslist listing that you go to there, and then it'll take you to a job opportunity in Santa Monica. And it'll be a full entertainment property, and fans love that stuff, and we have a massive ARG community. So in all of our videos, we actually have puzzles that the fans solve. So we'll have a video where a few days ago, Daniel, our main character, he was given a box, and inside of this box is a flash drive, and on the box is a little poster card that was a haiku. And so he gets this box, opens a flash drive, it's password protected, and he looks into the camera to the community, says, "Hey everyone out there, I just got this box and this flash drive, I need to open it. I have no idea how to open it, so will you please help me?" So if you go to our website, you can actually open the file, you get the password, you get the little box to enter a password. And so literally like 5,000 to 10,000 people got together on our website, our forum, and figured out what the password was using the haiku and the symbols and a lot of other clues we gave them. They figured it out. We put the video up on Monday. They figured it out Monday night. They emailed our character saying, "Hey, Daniel, I solved the password. It's X." So then what do? On Wednesday, Daniel picks up the camera, looks into the camera, and says, "Hey, everyone out there. Hey, Minnesota and Teresa in San Antonio, thank you so much for helping me crack the password. Here's what I did." And then he explains to the rest of the audience who didn't participate in the solving exactly what the password is, how he solved it, how the fans helped him, and then he opened the file. And so that interactivity is something you can't do on network TV because of the lead times in production. And so the last component of why we're able to do what we do, we film pretty close to real time. I mean, the video that we upload today was shot like, what's today, Monday? It was shot last Monday or Tuesday. So we can know the habits of our fans, we can know how to make it interactive, and then say we're going to upload a video today that has this puzzle component and we need to acknowledge the fans for doing it. We'll upload it at 3 in the afternoon, we'll have our actor come to the apartment or house or whatever at 10 in the morning, and film that little snippet of acknowledging the fans that we slip right into the video, and then we upload it today. And the fans participated in the whole process.
And could Fox have Kiefer Sutherland do that for a 24 website? And so, you know, could ABC do things with Lost like they did over the summer? I mean, it all starts to come together as the production windows get shorter and shorter for network television. You will find maybe some of this art imitating life, life imitating art, and having the, and I think you're seeing it more and more, television influenced by what's going on the internet. But they're still by far, and even though South Park can sometimes seem like they're on the latest issue a month later, it's still not the same kind of timing that that you guys are experiencing. So I think that makes, just to go back to your question, I think that there's something fundamentally potentially different about the two mediums. Anyone else? Questions?
Yeah. How do you protect your business model? What kind of agreements do you have with the people working with you? And then what kind of legal responsibility do you have with the site?
In other words, are you asking how does one protect an idea? Like, are you talking about like NDAs and things like that?
Individual or uploading video they have shot?
Well, from the perspective of you know, someone who a technologist or a site aggregator or a site proprietor, how do you protect your business models? Obviously, there's patents, there's copyrights, there's trademarks, there's different forms of intellectual property that can protect different aspects of the business, and certainly idea protection and just simple contract when you're doing business and approaching a potential business partner. There are, you know, different protections that can be put in place in advance, but sometimes that's a barrier. If you don't really have any leverage, people might not be interested in talking to you if you put up too many barriers to talking to them. But intellectual property and contract. In terms of the person who's posting content on the internet, how is that protected? I think one of the ideas is to take a look at that they're being used in the format in which you're releasing the content and the extent to which you're giving consumers that freedom. And I think that's that investment we're talking about, that you know, how much do you want to let go in order to hopefully get back. But in terms of pure protection of content, user-generated content shouldn't be viewed any differently than traditional media copyright infringement lawsuits. You know, it's the thing. Someone downloads a file from Kazaa as downloading it from a blog or a private website, or posting something that you know, there was no authority to post in the first place. The same issues would apply. So I'm not sure if that's what you were asking me, but in general, there's nothing special here about this type of content that makes it really all that different in terms of protecting it. It's just a question of how much do you want to authorize or be said to have authorized giving it away. And I suppose on depending on what you do, you could be seen as waiving certain protections and authorizing. I mean, the concept of fair use is something we didn't talk about today, but there are, you know, it's built into the Copyright Act, and there are factors to consider as to whether someone can take your work without your permission.
You know, and for us, so we kind of look at it two ways. One is that these kind of, call them derivative works that all the community is making out there that, you know, bounce off of our videos, we don't integrate those storylines directly into ours. So you don't have to watch those to have a clue what's going on in Lonely Girl 15. These are just creative outlets for our fans to do. But interestingly, there was one fan in San Francisco who was making an amazing story. He had two characters, and the film quality was brilliant, the storyline was fantastic, and we all internally in our group were just humongous fans of what he was doing. We called him up, and we hired him, and we bought his IP. We treat ourselves like we're what any TV network or studio would do.
If the case is that it's no different than copyrights for film and television and so forth, how do major media companies then turn around and buy YouTube when it is so massively filled with copyright infringements?
Yeah, I don't know. it's nuts. That's why.
I mean, there are clearly issues. There are and you know,
it's Google and they don't.
There are one of the issues in this space is the safe harbor set up by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's Section 512C of the Copyright Act for user posted or content posted at the direction of users. However, that protection, which is something that's the subject of litigation in the federal courts right now, is only available if you qualify under certain conditions. And it really comes down to how passive you are about that, is this just a place to post content versus is it something more? And the extent to which aggregators are trying to create kind of an entertainment experience where they're selecting certain videos as the featured ones of the day, whether they're putting their logo in the corner, whether they're filtering out nudity, how much are you doing to engage with that content is going to, I think, carry the day on the extent to which that safe harbor is available to you. Even if it's available to you, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing under that safe harbor, which has to do with notice and takedown procedures and things like that that are not time to go into today, but you need to, A, it needs to be available to you, and B, you need to hold up your end of the bargain under that. So how is it that major media companies are investing in this type of thing? I mean, we all saw investment in the Napster service at the height of that by venture capital companies become the subject of federal lawsuits later. We all know now under the Grokster decision of the Supreme Court that inducing and promoting copyright infringement can take you outside of the protections of the Sony Betamax case and all of that. So there are real issues there, and I think that content aggregators need to be very smart about this. And I think, again, like Greg said, user-generated content is very difficult to understand. It's hard to see almost anything that doesn't have some infringing aspect when you've got in the background or somebody's used, there's a radio playing in the background. And I think companies need to weigh the value of this content versus their ability to control the environment, like we talked about before, versus the the potential liability. And ultimately, I guess it comes down to a business decision that's informed by lawyers. Over there.
I'm just wondering, Greg, could you tell us what you believe is your company's path to profitability?
I can't hear the question. What was that?
Can you tell us where you think your company's path is to profitability as a company?
Yeah. So, well, first, our company is kind of broader than Lonely Girl 15. So we have a production company now that is going to do three things. One, continue doing Lonely Girl 15, and the model for that, again, is product integration. And the numbers are pretty good, and they're very good, and they're very good in light of our production cost. So that's one element. Two, mobile application, which mobile phone companies are starting to pay pretty good money for the content. And then three is either syndicating our show into other foreign territories. We want to have Lonely Girl 15 shows in Korea and Germany, and with actual, location-specific characters, so people actually speaking in Korean and doing this whole ARG real-world stuff in those territories. So spinning it out. No, actually, as internet shows, as either on our own website, maybe we partner with a website, maybe some social networking website, wants to do a Lonely Girl 15 show, and we kind of figure out a partnership there. And then the last prong is actually getting a traditional media, making a feature, something like that. I don't know if a TV show works. We're still feeling it out a little bit. It might, but a feature, plays perfectly. So that's one model. Then model number two is we've developed a couple other shows that we are now in the process of pitching, and we're smart enough this time to realize that any show we do in the next year or two has to have a TV component, because there actually is a real model there. And I don't dismiss TV in any way. In the next 10 years, TV's still the place you want to be if you want to make money. So we kind of develop shows in the mindset of, people right now are developing a TV show and they say, oh, there's also the internet out there. So let's kind of take 2 minutes of our clips and put it out there. You can go talk to characters from The Office after the episode airs. Our shows will actually be, you need to watch the internet portion from Monday through Friday, and then the TV show's Friday night. And that kind of all leads up to it. You can watch a show on its own. You don't have to do the internet, but if you do it, you get such a richer experience. And you could probably just watch it all the content on the then on Saturday or Sunday, we'll put that TV show back into our show. So that's two. And the last one is marketing. We're doing a few marketing campaigns right now. We got hired to do one by 20th Century Fox for Epic Movie. So we made a series of 3 2-minute videos, ran a whole kind of interactive element, ran the entire YouTube and online campaign, and the 3 videos got seen over 3 million times.
So I guess we're out of time. We're getting the proverbial hook. But I think what Greg said sums it up nicely. It's almost life. It's full circle. Whereas the television networks are looking to get an internet component for their shows, the internet companies are looking at that television component. and maybe full integration is where this thing is heading as much as anything else.
You mentioned both your contact information if anyone wants to contact you.
Yeah, and if people want to follow up, my name is Eric German. My email address is E as in Eric, J as in James, G as in German, EJG, at MSK, M as in Mary, S as in Sam, K as in Kitty.com, EJG.com. Telephone number 310-312-3214.
So my name is Greg Goodfried, and my email is GGOOD, F as in Frank, RIED, at gmail.com. And my phone number is 818-642-2991.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Can we give a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for a great presentation. We're going to go right into our next presentation. I did pour water. If anyone wants water, please help yourself right there.